Hi, this is Jim from Excellence in Voting. Thanks for joining me. It's Sunday, November 4th, 2018, just a couple of short days away from perhaps the most important midterm election of our lifetime. Now, what you may or may not know is that Excellence in Voting has a website. We've been keeping track of the campaigns of Matt Rosendale and, to a lesser extent, Greg Gianforte for some time now. So with such a short time before the election, I just wanted to take a little bit of time today, if I could, to go over the Excellence in Voting website and highlight some of the stories that I think you might find interesting. So, if you'll indulge me, let's head over to excellenceinvoting.org and check it out. Okay, this is Jim here again from Excellence in Voting. Thanks so much for joining me here on the main website. We're going to go over a couple of articles that I pulled up here that I think are of importance and I think that you may find interesting. So let's move right into that. This is very recent. This is published this morning. This is President Trump in Bozeman, Montana yesterday. As you can see from the image there, flanked to his, that'd be over his left shoulder, are members of the Crow tribe, the Crow Indian tribe. Of course, they're the ones wearing the headdresses. And they came out to show their support for Donald Trump and Matt Rosendale. They're in Bozeman. It's hard to, although the left doesn't like to see this, it's hard to dispute this photo. You can, of course, go to excellenceinvoting.org to get all of these articles I'm about to read to you here, to go over with you. So this is a big step here. Actually, it's a big endorsement, I should say, because previously, almost every Indian tribe, Native American tribe here in Montana has supported Jon Tester. So I believe there's a new chief of the Crow tribe, and he is a Rosendale / Trump fan. So you're seeing the members support the chief and the chief of their tribe, and of course the commander-in-chief, Donald Trump. So this is exciting news for Matt Rosendale, and we're glad to see that. So let's move on to the next article here. Potentially illegal mailer sent to Montana voters causes upheaval in Senate election. Now I'm going to talk about this in the very last article. This is going to get brought up again, but I want to read this to you now. An anonymous mailer sent to Montana residents urging them to vote for a Libertarian Senate candidate instead of Republican Matt Rosendale has seemingly backfired. An unidentified mailer was distributed to residents living in Billings, Montana in late October. The seemingly pro-Libertarian ad attacked GOP Senate nominee Matt Rosendale for his stance on drones, claiming that he wants to use drones and patrols to spy on our private lives. Well, of course, we know this is not true. Now, there was a tremendous backlash from this, and we'll get to that in a moment. But this is not uncommon for those on the left to use these type of tactics. Should be of no surprise. Jon Tester, here's the next article here. Jon Tester slips in Montana. Polls showed Democrat in statistical tie with GOP's Matt Rosendale. Senator Jon Tester's lead in the Montana Senate race slipped to a statistical dead heat as Montana State Auditor, rancher, and Republican Senate candidate Matt Rosendale continued to surge in the final weeks of the election. And it, I believe, has even gotten closer since then. As you can see, this is Donald Trump here with Matt in Missoula. He was just in Bozeman yesterday, Donald Trump was. So this is, I think, unprecedented. 4 times he's been here to Montana to support Greg Gianforte and Matt Rosendale. So Montana must be a pretty important state for the Trump administration. Now, if these next couple of articles here, if you can make the leap between the youth and the parents, you're gonna see that this is very good news for Republicans. Now, this supposes that certainly people that are the first story here is about the very young, the school-age children, the elementary students, which I'm sure probably is influenced a lot more by their parents. And the second article is high school students that are probably not influenced by their parents as much. So let's look at this here. Rosendale and Gianforte win the youth vote. Montana Secretary of State Corey Stapleton released the results of Friday's Youth Vote 2018, and the Republican ticket won the day. Montana students chose Republican Matt Rosendale over Democrat John Tester 46% to 42.15%, with Libertarian Rick Breckenridge garnering 11.84% in the race for U.S. Senate. For the U.S. House of Representatives, Montana youth chose red over blue yet again, choosing to re-elect Republican Greg Gianforte over Democrat Kathleen Williams by 46.35% to 40.4%, with Libertarian Eleanor Swanson receiving 13.25%. So out of the mouth of babes. So the youth here, I believe, are onto something. So let's move on to the next article. This is also about youth voting, but this is in the high school and not the real young elementary students. When polls closed Wednesday afternoon for Flathead High School's midterm mock election, Republican candidates came out on top across the board. The 582 students casting their ballots also supported the two initiatives in this year's general election. One on raising tobacco taxes to fund health care programs, and the other requiring new hard rock mines to have a reclamation plan. Students likewise supported a referendum retaining the 6 mil levy that financially supports the Montana University system. So if you look at this polling here, you'll see that the Matt Rosendale and Greg Gianforte both came on top in the voting here at Flathead High School, which is one of the two local high schools here in Flathead Valley. Glacier High School would be the other one here in Kalispell, certainly. But this is promising. Again, I don't know. I know the young kids here in this article, they're probably much more influenced, as I said, by their parents. High school children, you'd think not so much. So this is probably not such a reflection of the parents' views as much as the young children would be, but still good news for the Republicans. Now we're going to circle back around to this article we talked earlier about with the potentially illegal mailer. And the fallout from this is that Libertarian Rick Breckenridge really endorsed Matt Rosendale for the Senate, because this mailer in Rick Breckenridge's mind was a dark money mailer, and he didn't want anything to do with it. Now, I did talk to Rick on the phone briefly, and I tried to get him in here for an interview. I've yet been unable to do that, but I'm still hopeful that I can. So Libertarian Rick Breckenridge endorses GOP Matt Rosendale for Montana Senate. Libertarian Montana Senate candidate Rick Breckenridge endorsed Republican candidate Matt Rosendale on Wednesday, stating that Rosendale would serve as a champion of liberty in the U.S. Senate. During a conference call on Wednesday, Breckenridge announced, "I'm here today to support Matt and endorse him in his continued efforts to be the front man in the cause of liberty," Breckenridge declared. Folks, we're coming down to the wire here. There's only a couple of days left. I think it's very important that you get out and vote. I believe that if those that are listening to my voice wish to have a better Montana and a better America, I think the only clear choice is to vote Republican. Are Republicans across the board great people and people we'd always support normally? Probably not. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure of it. But there are many good Republicans out there, and there are many good legislators, certainly locally, that you need to support. Just get out and vote. Be heard. It could be one of the most important elections, as I stated earlier, in our country's history. We're at a crossroad, folks. We're at a crossroads. And we need to do the right thing. Thanks so much for listening. This has been Jim from Excellence in Voting.